Howdy folks, it's Chief Meteorologist Nick Lilia here taking a peek at the forecast as we head through the next couple of days. Specifically, what's headed our direction on Thursday. As you can see right now, just high clouds drifting our direction. In fact, as we move through the day tomorrow, the high clouds are going to thicken up top to bottom as we move through the day. We'll probably get a couple of cumulus clouds in here by the time we get toward the evening and into the overnight hours. In the meantime, though, things not bad. Should set us up for a nice sunset tonight. You know, today's Tuesday's looking pretty good. Zooming in here a little bit tighter, we are underneath a marginal risk for severe weather on Thursday. As we move through the next couple of minutes, I will explain, hopefully, why, yes, we are under a marginal risk. However, it deserves an asterisk because I don't know how necessarily severe things are going to be for us. Okay, so let's look at the futurecast. Here we go through tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning. Here come the clouds. We move through the day into the afternoon. Notice that we're just increasing the cloud cover basically all day long. And no real threat for rain tomorrow. I suppose you could throw in a courtesy 10% chance, but we're going to leave ourselves dry. Maybe a little bit of drizzle on Thursday morning. Early turns into maybe some light rain as we head through mid-morning. By midday and into early afternoon, you can see showers, maybe even some thunderstorms on top of us. As a line kind of develops off to our west and tries to pass through the area. When we get back in behind it, we get kind of dry slotted as we head through the evening and into the overnight hours. And then I think we're going to have some lingering patches of showers and drizzle during the day on Friday. However, I think most of any rain activity we're going to get is going to be before noon. So you may be thinking to yourself, okay, well, marginal risk for severe weather, Nick. I saw that line of showers and thunderstorms roll through, so that's going to be our round of severe weather. And yes and no. And here's why. You look at the weather above us, and this is a graphic that we've used for a long time down here. And what you'll kind of notice in here is we've got wind out of the southeast, then back out of the south, then back out of the southwest, then back out of the southwest here. And we've got plenty of wind speed aloft, I think, to get thunderstorms to get themselves a little better organized and get maybe a little bit of severe weather. However, the temperature of the surface at 62 degrees, it's real difficult to make severe weather around here in South Mississippi at just 62 degrees. You could probably swing that on the high plains of, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska. Even in Colorado, but 62 degrees out here, it's going to be tough to get any severe weather going. On top of that, 48 degrees up at about 4,400 feet or 850 millibars. That gets even more difficult to create severe weather. However, we're going to be dangerously close to a number that we would need for both of these, which is about 67 degrees at the surface and about 52 to 53 degrees up at about 4,400 feet. So we're close, and the wind is fine. We're not going to be short of any wind shear during the day on Thursday, and we're plenty moist. You can see the humidity here. We're plenty moist. So the limiting factor that we're going to be watching very closely is your temperature at 850 millibars and down to the surface. That is eventually, I think, going to dictate if we see severe weather or not. And for people asking, well, yes or no, Nick, right now at this juncture in time, I unfortunately I can't give you a yes or a no. What I can tell you, though, is that if we are to get severe weather, the main concern would be kind of that afternoon to evening-ish time frame between about 2 and 7 o'clock. And mainly it would be straight line wind. As of right now, it doesn't look like we'll have isolated storms. I think it's going to be pretty clustery. And so it would be wind gusts in excess of 40, 50, perhaps even approaching 60 or 70 miles an hour, because the wind is going to be cruising pretty good up at elevation. The tornado and the hail threat, you can see that in kind of a weird bluish color. I don't know that it's necessarily at a marginal risk, but it's certainly not zero either. And we could see some flooding given how wet the ground already is. We're only looking at seeing another inch to maybe 2 inches of rain. So this isn't a crazy rain event, but we just had a fair amount of rain. The ground is still saturated, so unfortunately we can't rule it out for folks that end up underneath where these storms end up kind of training right on top of themselves. So kind of keep that in mind as we head through the day on Thursday. So how does this break down in the atmosphere? And what are we kind of looking at? Well, here we are Wednesday morning about 5 a.m. Again, we're looking at the 500 millibar geopotential heights, my favorite map in the entire world. That little area of low pressure, we've got one here, we've got one up here, and then one over here. Ends up kind of looking like a weird, goofy smiley face. Now, as we head through Thursday, notice the one in the Pacific Northwest dives down and kind of meets up with the one that was in the Four Corners region. And that's really going to deepen out as we head through the day on Thursday and into Friday. And notice we end up with this big, deep trough, this cutoff low down here. However, it's pretty far off to the south, right? So if we were to cut this into quadrants, right, like we always like to do, it's tough to get Gulf moisture any further north than that line that I've made there. And that line is going to be set up somewhere between 98 and Highway 82. So, right now I think that looks kind of like the I-20 corridor. So we're going to be right on the boundary between warm front too far to the south and warm front far enough to the north to give us an opportunity for severe weather. Where it sits right now, and again, I made this line again, where it sits right now, it's going to be tough for this to get any further north than Highway 98, or truly, probably Highway 26. It's in our southern counties. So, as of right now, yes, a marginal risk for severe weather from the Storm Prediction Center. I don't know that that's necessarily an ill-advised risk level. I think that's probably fine. But do know, as we head through the day on Thursday, you may end up in a situation where all you get is rain and thunder. This isn't going to be widespread severe weather. This is going to be one of those things where you kind of have to be on guard through the day, where it's going to be kind of chilly outside, but you've got to have your phone or the NOAA weather radio kind of nearby, just in case the one storm that does develop happens to be near you, or the two storms that do develop, or what have you. Now, I will say this. That passes on by. Back in behind it, I think we get some slightly cooler air in here, but nothing dangerously cold, and then nothing really happens after that. I think we're dry through the weekend. I think we're dry through the middle of next week. The next area of low pressure kind of splits, and we get one that goes down the pipe of the kind of the Midwest and the Mid-South, and then another that kind of branches out and heads down into parts of Mexico. We're kind of stuck in the middle, hanging out in mostly sunny conditions as we head through next week. Now, we end up with this one sliding by, a ridge forms here on the back side of it, that slides over, and then this next system out there may dive across the Rockies and into our neck of the woods as we head toward Christmas. But at this point, that's so far out that there's plenty of uncertainty and plenty of time before we have to worry about that. In terms of rain chances as we head through the next couple of days, I mean, here's your best shot for rain as we head through the day on Thursday. Basically, it blitzkriegs across the area. We end up with a couple of showers maybe left over for the day on Friday. You may be able to catch a stray shower on Saturday. I think we've got a 10% chance right now, and that's, I think, being generous. And then we're dry Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, into Wednesday, Thursday. Everything stays to the south of us, with afternoon highs continuing to run somewhere between about 57 and about 63 degrees. So that's kind of a breakdown as we head through the next couple of days. Really, I think as we head through Thursday, it's going to be how far north does that warm front make it? The further north it makes it, the more of us have to deal with the prospects of severe weather. And it's something, unfortunately, that we may not have a firm grasp on until 12 hours before the event. We're really going to have to wait and see how things unfold as it drifts this direction, because it's about where that area of low pressure sets up, not only aloft but also at the surface, and how far north that warm front makes it. It's something we're going to be watching pretty closely down here for sure. And of course, you can keep up with the latest in this forecast like we always do, posting videos here on the app, or we're always talking about it on the news in the morning with Patrick, and with me on the evening, and Rex talking about it here and there throughout the day, either on the app or on TV. We'll see you guys then.